Hello, beautiful souls. It's Kat from Elevate, and welcome to my channel where we talk about recovering from toxic relationships and regaining self love and self esteem. Today's topic is going to be whether or not you should keep a toxic person in your life. This might sound like a really easy question. Most people would say no, but I just want to discuss some different viewpoints that I have been seeing online. And then I want to ask you what you think. So put your comments below and let me know your thoughts definitely after you listen to this video. Before I get into today's topic, please subscribe to my channel, download my free ebook below, and join the Facebook group. We want to grow this community and help support each other, and those are the ways that you can do that. Now, back to the topic. Should you keep a toxic person in your life? Should you try to help them? It's a difficult decision, and it's a decision that I think most of us have thought about before because we've tended to, let's say, date or be involved with toxic people and have trouble cutting those people out of our lives. I've read a lot lately online about borderline personality disorder because I had a close friend who I think had it. It was a typical situation where in a cluster B, like a narcissist would do the same thing. And I experienced this kind of cycle of love bombing, devaluing, and discard. Now, it's been said that, people with borderline or BPD, as it's abbreviated, they don't do that cycle for the same reasons as a narcissist does them. So, you can argue that they do it for a different reason. I think borderline is more doing that process as more of a self-preservation, like a coping mechanism, like a defense. And a narcissist, may be doing the same love bombing, devaluing, and discard as a malicious type of act instead. So it's more of an intentional, malicious manipulation. So I do see a difference between like narcissistic people and people with BPD, and I think there is overlap, and the biggest overlap I see is the selfishness. There's like this self-centeredness that's just so strong, a level of entitlement that's so strong, and this just sort of like obsession with self and only seeing self, only seeing the self, the emotions of the self instead of seeing other people's feelings. So that does run completely across. Like there are a lot of similarities, but again, I think, people with BPD are not necessarily, painting you black and discarding you out of malice. It's more of um like a panic goes down inside them, and they have to get away, they have to shut down whatever emotions are going on, and the way they do it is just shutting people out. So I got to be close friends with someone who I think had this. This person was already medically diagnosed by a psychiatrist as having bipolar, but I kind of felt like this person had BPD just based upon my psychological education, um, and foundation that I have. So, I'm not a professional, but this was my take on things and my experience because I have dealt with narcissists. I have dealt with bipolar people. I have dealt with addicts. I've dealt with alcoholics. So I've had interactions and relationships, whether they were family relationships or romantic relationship, friendships, work relationships. I've had a lot of interactions with people that have all of these different issues. And so I think I'm able to discern a little bit more, especially given the fact that I had the degree in have the degree in psychology, and that gave me a foundation, and I've always been fascinated by behavior and the brain. So one thing I've noticed when researching borderlines is online, some people are defending borderline, saying they're sick and cannot be held responsible for their illness. Now, like to a point, that's true. Like, if someone's suffering from a personality disorder or mental illness that's not treated with medication, then yeah, they really can't be blamed per se for their what they do, but we kind of feel like, well, why don't these people then go and take care of themselves? Why don't they go get the medication they need? Why don't they go get the therapy they need? So there's kind of like two sides to that coin. How far do you let it go? And then, do you sit there and just stay kind and compassionate for them? So one professional counselor online said we should be kind and understanding towards these people. And, this brought up a lot of questions for me. Like, should you keep a toxic person in your life and still keep being kind to them? Where do you draw the line between your compassion for them and the betrayal or abandonment of yourself? So, is self preservation the most important thing, or is helping someone else just as important? And, you know, personally, I feel like these are really good questions to ask. Is it wise to keep toxic people in your life and stay kind, understanding, and compassionate? I know for sure that road is a codependent road for me, as I've been there many times. There's nothing wrong with being kind and caring, but the issue lies in when you give that kindness and love to someone who doesn't deserve it. Despite the fact that borderlines may be mentally ill and they don't necessarily know what kind of emotional damage they're causing other people, the damage is still being done. These people see a distorted version of reality in which they vilify people who may have done nothing wrong. In fact, like I know with my friend that this happened with, the nicer I was, the worse he treated me. The more I cared, the more I tried to be supportive, the more I tried to say, "Hey, like, I'm here for you." Like when he lost his job and all this stuff, I was trying to be supportive and say, "I'll help you brainstorm maybe like some new ideas for a career, and I'm here for you, and let's go out for a drink, my treat." Like the nicer I was, the worse he treated me. So, obviously I knew at a certain point because of that, that this person was not mentally well. Like mentally well people don't treat friends like that. There's no reason to do it. If someone's kind to you and they're a great friend, you don't treat them worse. But this is the thing that toxic people do, right? They're not okay. They're not mentally okay. So, borderlines will paint people black and they'll devalue them based upon a creation in their mind of them being slighted. So this person came up with a reason, like it was the fact that I was actually having boundaries and saying, I'm not going to accept disrespect. I'm not going to do certain things and allow certain things. And so this person then decided, once I was putting those boundaries out, that I was bad. So they create something in their mind where they're being slighted or they're being rejected or whatever. Then when the non toxic person in this dynamic reacts with negativity to the borderline's behavior, or takes actions to remove themselves, the borderline uses that as an even more of a reason that the other person is bad. So like if you're putting boundaries or you're saying, I'm not dealing with this and I'm removing myself and I'm not going to allow you in my life, then they decide you're even worse. So it's basically like a no-win situation. And the non toxic person will not be able to resolve this conflict. And it really bothered me for a very long time that I couldn't make peace with this person, that this person had, these ideas about me being a bad person and all this crazy stuff that wasn't real. Like they would first for a while I didn't even know what was the thing, why they were so mad and they wouldn't speak to me, and they did the silent treatment. And because after I had told them I really didn't want them in my life, I still had mutual friends, and I just wanted to make peace with them in a way that, we didn't have to be best friends, but I just wanted to extend the olive branch and like have some sort of peace and just like be able to attend the same events. But this person was not having it. And still now, I mean, it's been over a year and this person will not would not go to any events that I was going to, and they will not make peace and they are angry. So this person's like hanging, like they have these grudges, like the BPD people will they'll hold a grudge. It's like very real to them. but it's based upon their own sort of imagined slights. So, like, what someone else would just say, like, forgive a slight that a person didn't even mean. Someone with BPD is holding as, like, you're the worst person in the world now because you did this. It's very extreme. There's a like very intense, dramatic piece to it. So the person with borderline personality disorder will just justify their false ideas and perceptions no matter what you do. So again, like I said, it's not like you can win this situation. Like, you're never going to resolve it or make it better, because once they've decided that, you're bad and they painted you black, I don't know that there's a way to come back from that. And, if you're the codependent person in this dynamic, you're getting damaged. If you're allowing someone to damage you, then it's on you to remove yourself from the situation. Nobody is coming to save you, and nobody's going to make the decision for you. It's a very hard decision to make, to leave someone who seemed to be less capable or express they needed you in some way, someone you truly care about. We don't want to, like, abandon people that we care about or who seem like they need us, but we can't let our compassion run us into the ground. We have to draw a line at some point. Haven't you been taken advantage of enough? I asked myself these questions when I was going through this. Codependency is caretaking for others despite how they treat us. Even if people treat us poorly, codependents feel a lot of responsibility, compassion, and empathy for people who are mentally ill, abusive, addicts, and other severely dysfunctional people. There are many different reasons why people become codependent, which I won't go into in this video. However, extending kindness and understanding to those that hurt you isn't necessarily or admirable if it's going to directly hurt you. Removing yourself from a situation, removing toxic people from your life, and doing no contact is the only way to free yourself from the responsibility you're feeling over another person's dysfunction. You can't save them. It's not your job. And it's about time you started saving yourself. You need saving from your own excessive compassion and empathy for abusers. You need love for yourself. You may be extremely capable, extremely resilient, strong, and empathetic, but you need to turn that empathy onto yourself and stop giving away the pieces of yourself to someone who doesn't appreciate you and is even abusing you emotionally. This person isn't honoring you. This person isn't treating you with respect and love. This person does not deserve all of the kindness you're pouring onto them. Even if you're doing it purely out of your good nature, you need to stop. End all contact and turn your focus back on you. That could sound selfish, but it isn't. When you have a tendency to focus on others, as codependents do, codependency is misplaced and excessive empathy. So I'll say that again. Codependency is misplaced and excessive empathy. So it's going to the wrong place, right? It's not going it's empathy that's going to the wrong people, people that have shown you that they don't really deserve it. When you have a big heart, like I do, you want to help people, but truly you must acknowledge the point at which someone no longer deserves your help. I know it's hard when you really care for someone. However, if you keep going, you just become an enabler for their bad behavior. And then they just continue it. So enablers are, which I've been. Listen, I mean, let's be honest here. If you're codependent, you've definitely been an enabler before. And if you keep enabling their bad behavior by forgiving too much and letting too much slide, sweeping things under the carpet, people pleasing, all the things that codependents love to do, if you keep doing that, they will just continue. They will just keep taking. It's like you become giver, 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 and they take, take, take. So, you know, I wrote it over here like a little aside, which is like even borderlines and narcissists can act in codependent ways. This is just like an aside, off topic a little bit, but they can be codependent, but it's not the same type of codependency. You'll hear often that borderline BPD people and NPD people get into relationships where the BPD person acts very codependent. This is because the BPD person has a deep core wound of never feeling good enough. And this is perfect for the NPD person to exploit. Like I said, the NPD person is more full of malice. And I feel like the BPD person is not necessarily aware of the damage and the toxicity that they bring into people's lives. BPD people run away from any type of healthy love or care, even in friendships, because they have a fear of engulfment. But they will run towards unhealthy relationships with narcissists and others who treat them poorly, because they're used to this from their childhood. Somewhere along the line, a BPD person probably had a narcissistic parent. It goes back to their childhood and the things they haven't sorted out. So they're repeating patterns where they try to be loved by narcissists who cannot love because they don't believe they're actually lovable and worthy of love from a healthy person. So so BPD people are trying to be loved by narcissists who cannot love because BPD people don't believe they're actually lovable and worthy of love from a healthy person. So this is kind of like, the more I was kind and caring to this person in my life, this BPD person, the more they hated me, right? Because this is like all part of their core wounding. And I didn't at the time know what was going on. I was like completely confused. I was like, wait, like I'm trying to be like a really great friend to this person, do all that I can, and they're hating me. Like I just didn't get it. I didn't understand. And not until later, after researching it, that I did all the puzzle pieces sort of fit. You know, this can happen with codependence as well, like this, hoping that a narcissistic person will love them. But it's a different dynamic because regular codependents don't display all of the other BPD criteria that makes BPD such a forcefully disastrous disorder that wrecks people's lives. So, there are there's this overlapping similarity of factors between codependents, people that have BPD, and people who are narcissists. There are similarities between all of these things. And, you know, it's interesting because it's hard to pinpoint exactly where someone is, like if it's a cluster B person, but you'll see an overlap. Like you'll see the overlap between the narcissist and the BPD is like a lot of this selfish entitlement and self-centered thinking and this sort of like blinders on. Then you'll see the similarities between BPD and the codependent that are like, sometimes they want to feel love. They're looking, they might display a lot of love towards someone and really mean it. Like a BPD person, I think really means that when they're love bombing you, they're genuine. Uh so, but it's sad. Like BPD is like a very sad disorder, as I learned more about it, and the fact that they're not really seeing the reality everyone else is, because their protective defense mechanisms are creating ideas in their mind of what reality is. And often this is not based upon facts. It's literally based upon, in their mind, they feel slighted by, you did XYZ and now you're a bad person. Meanwhile, you didn't even mean to do anything bad. So it's sort of like um they're manufacturing a reality based upon their defenses and emotions, and then they live in that reality as if it's true, and they act like their reality is real. So they'll treat you like you're now a bad person even though you didn't even mean to do anything. And then, you get discarded. Like at the end you get discarded, and it's somehow like so much worse than a narcissist. And it really did shake me because I met this friend right after I had been with my narcissist and had just broken up maybe a few months. So I was in a bit of a vulnerable state, and I really trusted this friend, and I was completely blindsided by the way that things occurred and how they betrayed me completely, because I trusted them wholeheartedly to be a real friend, and then it turned out that that was not at all what they were. um you know I tried to be there for this person, And then when I needed support, they weren't there for me. They, again, like manufactured a lot of flaws and mistakes that they claimed that, made me bad. And it was just like way too much to even keep up with because it didn't make any sense. And no one's ever going to understand it because it's not mentally healthy. It's not typical. It's a personality disorder, and it's not understandable for people who don't have a personality disorder. So it's never going to make sense. It's eventually I realized it's got nothing to do with me. There was absolutely no way to change it, and it was an inevitable ending. They were never going to be able to see me for who I am or appreciate me as a person, despite me trying like so many times to just even make peace. So, like I said, not even to be friends again, but just to like have things be cool and be able to go to the same events. Cause this person had skipped events that they found out I was going to. They actually skipped events. And I didn't I didn't understand, like, why is this person so angry at me? Um, and again, it's never gonna make sense. So, they don't see you at all, and you become like a target for them to unleash all their anger from childhood, as if you were the perpetrator who hurt them years ago. So, like, one thing you're gonna notice with BPD people, there's like this anger that's simmering under the surface, and it's going to be unleashed on you like the minute you step wrong. Like, even though you didn't even mean to hurt the person, let's say, they'll take something you said or something you did and make it into like you're a horrible person, and now they're going to be angry at you, or they're going to do the silent treatment because they're angry at you, which is what this person loved to do. And I am particularly sensitive to the silent treatment in general. You know, if you look up the silent treatment, it is abuse, it's emotional abuse, and it's very damaging to people. And if you look into it online, you'll see that it's extremely damaging. And I'm particularly sensitive to it. I didn't like that it was being done to me, and I don't like having enemies. I don't want to have enemies. So I tried several times to like like I said, make peace with this person, but this person wasn't going to have it. So that was it. And they're underneath the surface, the simmering anger is just waiting to come out. So when you do something wrong and they've devalued you, you become like as if they're sort of almost like reenacting their childhood. You become that narcissistic parent or abusive parent that they had in their mind. They're like basically acting out a dynamic from childhood, but you're in the place of the bad parent. So you're like, what the heck is going on? Like, I don't even understand because I don't even dislike this person. I'm trying to do my best. And now you're sorry, you don't have a friendship anymore. The person has devalued you and discarded you. But you can't do anything about it because this is their issue. This is their disorder. It's not like you can control this. You can't be kinder to them and then make this not happen. Like, it was inevitable this was going to happen. And it's like a runaway train. It's going to go. There's no way to stop it. They're not understanding you. They're not seeing the real events that occurred. It's like a completely different reality, like I said, and it's distorted in their mind. So you can't get anywhere with like communicating or trying to be kinder or trying to help them out. They won't let anything get resolved because they really don't see what you do. So it's a big question to keep toxic people you care about in your life or remove them. I've gone back and forth on this myself. You want to be kind, you want to help people, but I think you get to a point where you try so hard to save the relationship or friendship and they don't reciprocate enough. So you need to move on. It's hard to move on when you care about someone, but relationships and even friendships need to be reciprocal. When someone else isn't reciprocating, it's time to sever ties. I know it's hard because at one point in the past they did reciprocate, and now you feel confused as to why they don't anymore. Again, we really cannot understand the mental workings of people with personality disorders or untreated mental illnesses in general. These things will probably never make sense to us. The only way to move on is doing no contact. Any contact you have with this person, even looking at their social media, is going to damage you. You need complete cold turkey, no contact with these types to be able to recover from the damage done. And that's what I've done now. Like, I've blocked this person everywhere. They had blocked me on Instagram, and then I was getting like a fake profile pretending to be them contacting me on Instagram. And I just blocked everything. I blocked the phone. I blocked the Instagram. I blocked the Facebook. I just blocked it all, because what's the point? Like, this person doesn't see me for all the good that I am. They don't see who I am, and they don't appreciate me. So to me, they don't exist anymore. I have to shut that door. I have to be able to let that go. I was trying to save it, but at a certain point, you've got to call it. When something's dead, like a friendship's dead, it's just dead and you have to let it go. Same thing with a relationship. And the only way to get past the trauma bond and get past these types of relationships and heal is you have to have no contact. That's not to say you won't have a soft spot for these people that you loved. I do, and I've made mistakes in contacting them to try to make peace at times, but I don't like having enemies, like I said before. And I've learned now that toxic people don't want to make peace. Like, this person didn't want to make peace. They want to hold a grudge. They want things to be bad. They want to feel powerful. So they give you the silent treatment and ignore you. Power and control is what's important to them, and you are not important to them, nor are your feelings or your friendship or relationship with them. They're completely self-focused, and they value power and control as being something, as a goal to attain. But you, as a non-toxic person, probably see things very differently. That's not really what you were probably going for. But they just don't see it the same way. So ultimately, you can't make peace with someone or resolve any conflicts without their participation, right? So the only option left for you is to go no contact and find peace within yourself. And I really recommend that to anybody going through this. If you're, a friend, like had a friend who's a narcissist or a BPD, or anybody like toxic that's been around you and has made you feel like they don't value you, or they don't appreciate you, they don't resolve conflicts with you, or you feel like maybe it's a one-sided friendship, like they're using you for stuff and they're not reciprocating back to you. You have to go no contact and cut those people out of your life. There's no point in keeping people in your life that don't appreciate you for all that you are, because there are good qualities about you. You're a great person and there are a lot of good things about you. And if someone else doesn't see that, just keep it moving. I hope this video helped you today, and please share this with anyone who might benefit. Subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to download the free ebook, like I said, if you haven't looked at it before, and join our community. If you need support, I'm always here. You can leave comments. You can always email me too at cat@catloretta. And if you need a deep dive into a recovery process, please sign up for my course, The Toxic Heartbreak Remedy, which will walk you through no contact, breaking the trauma bond, and recovering yourself. That's also on my website, catloretta.com. And again, put your comments below. I'd love to hear what you think about keeping a toxic person in your life. Where are you in the process of, let's say, maybe getting them out of your life?